Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Warriors executives expect Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton to end up in Golden State once their commitments are made public and official. Should the Warriors reach a resolution on the Kuminga situation and reach an agreement with Horford, the move would mark the team's first significant addition of the offseason, as Golden State has been notably inactive while other Western Conference teams have re-signed. Signing Horford would give the team a top-tier veteran defender and an additional three-point shooting option, an ideal complement to Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. The Golden State Warriors have had a quiet offseason so far. But that will soon change as the team is preparing to make its first offseason signings. For the last several days, Al Horford's name has been thrown as an option for the Warriors. It seems like the saga will finally end, and he will sign with the team. Golden State Warriors set to make first offseason signings. There have been rumors about Horford going to the Warriors for several days. But according to Brett Siegel, the wait will soon be over. Horford and DeAnthony Melton are expected to sign with Golden State within days. The insider reported that several teams at NBA Summer League said the two players have verbal agreements in place with the Warriors. Siegel also mentions another name who is connected to the Warriors, Malcolm Brogdon. He is a former Sixth Man of the Year winner and has yet to sign with any team. As a free agent, Brogdon might have to accept a high salary cut to make a contending roster. Last season, he played for a $22.5 million salary. The Warriors cannot offer such a contract, but they can offer a chance to compete. He hasn't been on a winning team since he was traded by the Boston Celtics. The Warriors follow a familiar route. Last season, the Warriors tried to sign and trade for several big-name players on the market. After they failed to do so, they pivoted to improving their depth. That depth was crucial in the first several games, as the Warriors raced to a 12-3 start, but it was quickly crushed by injuries. Nevertheless, it seems like this offseason, they are hoping to replicate that depth to have it serve as their weapon again. The Warriors have three players earning high salaries in Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. They cannot afford to give a high payday to another player. But with the expected signings, they can build a 10-man rotation that should help them through the regular season. Which offseason signing will help the Warriors the most? Horford should be the biggest help for the Warriors. Even though he is at the end of his career, he is still a valuable contributor. Last season, he played in 60 games, averaging 9.0 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 0.9 blocks per game in 27 minutes of action. He can help GSW both offensively and defensively. The Warriors had a stretch last season after the deadline when Quinton Post looked like a great player. The young rookie helped stretch the floor with his shooting. Now, imagine Horford getting those open looks. Last season, he shot 36.3% from three-point range. The 2 seasons before that, he shot 44.6% and 41.9% from behind the arc. Melton and Brogdon could also help ease the minutes of Curry. Steph is in his 30s, and he needs to be fresh for the playoffs. While they do not shoot like Curry, they can provide an offensive spark. As last season's playoffs showed, the Warriors are in dire need of offensive power when Steph is not in the game. They failed to score 100 points in 3 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round. Warriors playing hardball with Jonathan Kuminga until the bitter end. The Warriors' negotiations with Jonathan Kuminga have been messy, and it doesn't look like that's going to change. Golden State Warriors fans are sitting back and watching the front office stand its ground with Jonathan Kuminga, refusing to accept anything less than top value. The franchise is in no rush, and the outlook for both Kuminga and his trade market are bleak. The Warriors want to have all the leverage in this Kuminga situation for themselves. So until the Kuminga thing resolves itself, one way or another, they aren't giving out anything above a vet minimum deal. They're probably not going to even do a vet minimum deal until the Warriors want to have all the leverage in this Kuminga situation for themselves. So until the Kuminga thing resolves itself, one way or another, they aren't giving out anything above a vet minimum deal. They're probably not going to even do a vet minimum deal until the Kuminga situation resolves itself. It's clear that Golden State's approach is to maximize Kuminga's value by keeping all options open. They're willing to re-sign him, but only if it lines up with the bigger picture. The team won't settle for bad trades or long-term contracts that don't fit their plan. Kuminga is a restricted free agent, but the Warriors aren't just going to hand off Kuminga's rights for a bag of chips. Potential sign and trade approach with Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors can sign Kuminga to a new deal, giving them flexibility. With a re-signed contract, they could move him in a sign-and-trade before the 2025-26 deadline. This tactic lets Golden State find the right time to make a deal, especially as other teams might get desperate as time moves on. It's a waiting game, but it keeps the Warriors in control. This patient stance seems to match the franchise's overall mindset. With the Stephen Curry era winding down, the Warriors are building for the future. They want players who fit Steve Kerr's system and can help them reload rather than rebuild. Kuminga's athleticism is fantastic, but his role and fit remain in question. And other teams aren't exactly lining up for Kuminga's services at this time. The Suns, Bulls, and a handful of others have inquired, but none can really offer what the Warriors feel is warranted. Salary and performance concerns. Kuminga's asking price, rumored near $25 million per year, is scaring off suitors. He's shown flashes of what could be, but Kuminga's fit in team-first systems and up-and-down play makes him a risk for most suitors. Teams are hesitant to commit big money and draft picks for a player who still has consistency issues. It's likely Kuminga starts next season in Golden State. Trade rumors will continue to swirl, but unless a team steps up, he'll likely remain in San Francisco. The Warriors will keep searching for the right deal and could pivot once other teams face injuries or need to make roster upgrades. Klay Thompson's return to Warriors no longer outlandish following latest bombshell. Why not? The Portland Trail Blazers have just proven that heartwarming reunions are not just the stuff of fantasy, and perhaps the Golden State Warriors should take notice when it comes to one of their franchise legends. Lillard has returned to the Trail Blazers in the NBA's latest bombshell move on Thursday, signing a 3-year, $42 million contract with the franchise just under 2 years after he was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Klay Thompson's return to the Warriors is no longer an outlandish idea. Lillard's shock return to the Trail Blazers does open up a thought of whether the Warriors could eventually do the same with their legendary guard in Klay Thompson. The 5X All-Star departed, of course, last offseason in somewhat unceremonious circumstances. Golden State evidently didn't prioritize bringing Thompson back on a new deal as a free agent, leading to his move to the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year, $50 million contract which resulted in a then-record 6-team sign-and-trade. Thompson's relationship with some members within the Warrior front office might have been impacted by last year's negotiations, but there's no doubt about his place and standing among the fanbase. The 35-year-old's return to Chase Center in November was one of the biggest regular season matchups on the NBA calendar, with the franchise and fans aptly celebrating Thompson in a multitude of ways including with a sea of captain hats. Klay Thompson arrives at Chase Center to a line of 400 employees in captain hats. While Thompson's relationship with some individuals may be skewed, Lillard's return to the Trail Blazers is proof that those issues can be overcome and that it's not outlandish to suggest that the 4X champion could return to Golden State. According to NBA insider Chris Haynes, Trail Blazers general manager Joe Cronin recently met with Lillard and the two made amends for any frustration or angst that emerged as a result of his departure via trade in September 2023. The situations between the Warriors and Trail Blazers are quite different right now. Portland are still a very young team who are looking to build from their 12th place standing in the Western Conference last season, making Lillard's impact just as much about his veteran experience and leadership, particularly while he recovers from a torn Achilles. On the other hand, Golden State are still an experienced, veteran-laden team looking to compete over the remainder of Stephen Curry's prime. It therefore has to make serious sense from a basketball standpoint, not to mention the fact Thompson still contracted for the next 2 years in contrast to Lillard being a free agent. Still, Lillard's return is a reminder that the Warriors should do the same with Thompson at some point down the track. Not today, not tomorrow, perhaps not in the next 2 years, but he should retire as a Warrior whenever that may be. Warriors extended Jonathan Kuminga lifeline that creates perfect sign-and trade. Jonathan Kuminga for Dillon Brooks would be mutually beneficial. Nearly 3 weeks into free agency, Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors still haven't come to terms on what the future will look like. Kuminga is a restricted free agent hoping to receive a lucrative new deal, while Golden State head coach Steve Kerr has publicly stated that he doesn't know if the 22-year-old can play big minutes alongside the core veterans. Thankfully for the Warriors, a lifeline has been extended that could open the door to a mutually beneficial sign-and trade with the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix has been active during the 2025 offseason, most notably trading Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for a package that centered around Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green. The Suns now project to roll out a starting lineup that would see Brooks and Green playing alongside All-Star Devin Booker. According to Jake Fisher of the Stein Line, the Suns aren't done putting together their new look rotation, and may attempt to sign Kuminga away from the Warriors. Sources say Phoenix, meanwhile, is the latest team to express exploratory interest in a Kuminga sign-and trade, challenging as it would be for the Suns to make such a deal happen. With Fisher reporting that Kuminga is looking for a deal in the neighborhood of $25 million per season, an opportunity has presented itself for Golden State to counter Phoenix's interest with a sign-and-trade proposal, Kuminga for Brooks. Unlikely as it may seem, it's a late lifeline being extended to a Warriors team in need of a potential Kuminga replacement. Suns eye Jonathan Kuminga, opening door for Warriors to ask for Dillon Brooks. Brooks could have value to the Suns, but the same can be said for Kuminga with the Warriors. If Phoenix is to make a formal offer for Kuminga, that would seemingly open the door to Golden State countering with a simple reminder that salaries must at least come close to matching to pull this off. The only individual player on the Suns' salary cap table who makes in the range of what Kuminga is asking for is Brooks at $21,124,110 for the 2025-26 season. While many would argue that Kuminga is the superior talent, Brooks would be a better fit with the Warriors veterans. He's one of the best 3-and-D wings in the NBA, possessing the toughness and tenacity that one would think would fit wonderfully alongside Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. Brooks is also coming off of the best shooting season of his career at 2.5 three-point field goals made per game on 39.7% shooting from beyond the arc. Phoenix likely sees the value in having Brooks on its roster, due in no small part to his ability to alleviate some of the defensive burden from Booker and Green. The tricky nature of sign-and trading for a player hoping to make somewhere around $25 million, however, is that valuable assets must go out. Golden State won't accept a sign-and trade that brings back an overpaid talent who fits poorly, especially with a limited window to contend given their stars' respective ages. That brings the conversation right back around to Brooks, who can occupy an invaluable 3-and-D role for a Warriors team that has struggled to replace Klay Thompson. Phoenix, meanwhile, would add a slashing scorer in Kuminga to complement Booker and Green's shooting. The hurdle, of course, will be circumventing two key factors: Brooks' trade exception that prevents him from being packaged with another player until September 6 and the Warriors attempting to avoid being hard-capped. The latter will be instrumental to the efforts to acquire Al Horford. If Golden State is hoping to find an ideal replacement for Kuminga, however, then the Suns could be an unexpected source of optimism.